A girl of just 7 years old was kidnapped and sold as a slave. She was enslaved and tortured until she was bought by an Italian consul, which changed her life. Today's curiosities are about Saint Josephine Bakhita. Here are 11 curiosities about her. 11. Name and meaning. Josephine Bakhita, whose birth name is unknown, was captured by slave traders in the Darfur region of Sudan when she was still a child. During her captivity, she was given the name Bakhita by her captors. The choice of this name is laden with bitter irony, as Bakhita means fortunate or blessed in Arabic. This name starkly contrasted with the reality of her life of suffering, abuse, and slavery. Eventually, when baptized and receiving the name Josephine, she combined both names, uniting her painful past with her new Christian and religious identity. The story of Josephine Bakhita is, therefore, a powerful narrative of transformation, resilience, and redemption, where the name imposed on her under such cruel circumstances became a symbol of her spiritual and human journey. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, subscribe so you don't miss any curiosities about the saints. 10. Childhood and abduction. Josephine Bakhita was born in 1869 in Al-Ghassa, a small village in the Darfur region of Sudan. During her childhood, she lived a peaceful life in a community where she felt loved and protected by her family. Her childhood was abruptly interrupted around the age of 7 when she was kidnapped by Arab slave traders. The trauma of the abduction was so profound that Bakhita could no longer remember her birth name. The slave traders who captured her took her on a long and painful journey, involving several transfers between different owners. Each change of owner represented a new cycle of suffering and dehumanization. The practice of capturing and selling children as slaves was common in the region at that time, and Bakhita became one of the many victims of this brutality. During her captivity, she was forced to walk hundreds of kilometers barefoot, exposed to constant mistreatment, hunger, and thirst. The traders treated her as mere merchandise, selling her repeatedly in slave markets. The physical and emotional scars left by these years of captivity would be deep and lasting. 9. Life as a slave. Josephine Bakhita's life as a slave was marked by a devastating sequence of sales and abuses. After being kidnapped, she was sold and bought several times, passing through different owners who treated her with extreme cruelty. Each change of owner brought new horrors and forms of dehumanization. Bakhita experienced the worst aspects of slavery. She was bound with chains, beaten, and forced to perform exhausting labor under constant threat of violence. One of the most atrocious experiences she endured was under the possession of a particularly cruel master. This master subjected Bakhita to a torture practice intended to permanently mark his slaves. He made several deep cuts in her skin with a razor, then rubbed salt and flour into the wounds to create permanent scars in the shape of designs. This barbaric method not only caused excruciating pain but also left indelible marks that identified her as property. Besides the physical pain, Bakhita suffered constant humiliations. She was treated as a worthless object, deprived of dignity or rights. The physical mistreatment was accompanied by psychological abuse, intended to break her spirit and will to resist. For 3 particular years, while serving this cruel master, Bakhita reported that there was not a single day when she was not beaten or tortured. The scars on her body were only an external manifestation of the continuous suffering and dehumanization she faced daily. Leave your prayer request here in the comments so that Saint Josephine Bakhita may intercede for it before God. 8. Improvement of her situation. Josephine Bakhita's life began to change in 1882 when she was bought by Callisto Legnani, an Italian consul. This event marked a crucial turning point in her existence, as for the first time in many years, Bakhita experienced treatment with respect and dignity. Unlike her previous owners, Legnani treated her not as an object, but as a human being. During the time she was under the consul's protection, Bakhita lived in Khartoum, Sudan, where she served in Legnani's household. He treated her with kindness and humanity, providing her with a relatively safe and stable environment. This drastic change in treatment had a significant impact on her, beginning to heal some of the deep emotional wounds caused by years of slavery. A few years later, due to political changes and instability in Sudan, Legnani decided to return to Italy. In 1885, he took Bakhita with him, an act that drastically altered the course of her life. In Italy, Bakhita was entrusted to a friend of Legnani, Augusto Michieli, and his wife, Maria Teresa Michieli. They owned a villa in Zionigo, near Murano, a province of Venice, where Bakhita began to work as a nanny for the couple's daughter, Mimina. In Italy, Bakhita continued to be treated with respect and kindness, something that strongly contrasted with her previous experience as a slave. This period of relative peace and stability allowed Bakhita to begin recovering from the physical and emotional traumas of her past. More importantly, it was in Italy that Bakhita had the opportunity to learn about Christianity more deeply, an encounter that would shape her future. 7. Adoption and new life in Italy. Working as a nanny for Mimina offered Bakhita the opportunity to develop emotional bonds in a safe and stable environment. The relationship with the child and the Michieli family was fundamental for her emotional recovery from the years of abuse and torture she had endured. This period also allowed Bakhita to begin opening up to new experiences and learning, far from the violence and brutality that had marked her previous life. During her stay with the Michieli family, Bakhita and Mimina were left in the care of the Canossian Sisters of the Institute of Catechumens in Venice while the Michielis traveled to Sudan on business. This period in the hands of the Canossian Sisters was decisive for Bakhita. There, she was introduced to Christianity in a deeper and more formal way. The sisters treated her with kindness and respect and introduced her to the teachings of the Catholic faith. It was during this time with the sisters that Bakhita began to feel a strong attraction to the religious life. She found herself deeply moved by the faith and love the Canossian Sisters demonstrated, something that resonated with the sense of God she had already carried in her heart since the difficult times of slavery. This contact with the Christian faith brought a new dimension to her life, offering her solace and a renewed sense of hope and purpose. When Mrs. Michieli returned from Sudan to fetch her daughter and Bakhita, the latter expressed her desire to stay with the Canossian Sisters. Supported by the sisters and the community, Bakhita found the courage to claim her freedom. As she was already of age, Italian law recognized her right to freedom, which meant she did not have to return to the Michieli family. 6. Encounter with the Christian faith. The Canossian Sisters, known for their dedication to teaching and charity, received Bakhita with warmth and understanding. They treated her with a dignity she had never experienced before. This reception had a profound impact on Bakhita, who came from a past of pain and suffering. The kindness and love shown by the sisters made her feel valued and respected. During her stay at the institute, Bakhita began to learn about the Christian faith. The Canossian Sisters introduced her to the teachings of Jesus Christ, the value of forgiveness, and the unconditional love of God. Despite having suffered deeply at the hands of her former owners, Bakhita felt a profound connection with the stories of sacrifice and redemption she heard. She found solace in the prayers and rituals of the Church, feeling called to a path of spirituality and service. The Christian faith resonated strongly with Bakhita, who had already developed an intimate and instinctive relationship with God during her years of suffering. She frequently felt the presence of a higher power that sustained her during the most difficult moments of her life as a slave. The formalization of this faith through Christian teachings offered her a new sense of purpose and direction. Feeling called to serve the God who had sustained her during her years of captivity, Josephine expressed her desire to remain with the Canossian Sisters and follow a religious life. The community welcomed her request, recognizing the depth of her faith and her genuine desire to serve. This was a decisive step that would lead her to dedicate her entire life to the service of others and her religious devotion. 5. Baptism and Christian name. In 1890, Bakhita's life reached a culminating point of transformation and spiritual rebirth. After a period of deep instruction and catechetical preparation under the care of the Canossian Sisters, Bakhita was baptized into the Christian faith. This significant event symbolized not only her official acceptance into the Catholic Church but also her transition from a life of suffering and slavery to a life of faith, freedom, and service. At the moment of baptism, Bakhita received the name Josephine, an act that represented both renewal and a new beginning. For Bakhita, this name meant leaving behind a past marked by pain and servitude and embracing a new life of dignity and purpose. The name Josephine was chosen in honor of Saint Joseph, the protector of the Holy Family, highlighting Bakhita's new mission to serve and protect others with love and compassion. After her baptism, Josephine continued to live with the Canossian Sisters, deepening her faith and her commitment to religious life. She was immensely grateful to have found a community that welcomed her and provided an environment where she could grow spiritually. The baptism was not just a religious formality but a true rebirth that gave Josephine a new perspective on life and the strength to continue her journey of faith. 4. Perpetual Vows. In 1896, after a period of intense religious formation and discernment, Josephine Bakhita took a significant step in her faith journey by making her perpetual vows. This solemn act marked her total dedication to religious life as a sister of the Daughters of Charity of Saint Magdalene of Canassa, a congregation known for its commitment to education, social assistance, and caring for the needy. Bakhita's perpetual vows represented the definitive consecration of her life to God. By professing the vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, she committed herself to following the example of Jesus Christ and living according to the ideals of the Canossian congregation. This commitment meant that Bakhita would dedicate her entire life to serving others, especially the most vulnerable and marginalized, living humbly and devoutly. The Perpetual Vows ceremony was a moment of great joy and celebration, not only for Bakhita but also for the entire religious community that had welcomed and supported her throughout her journey. Her decision to become a Canossian sister was met with enthusiasm and affection, reflecting the deep respect and admiration her companions had for her unwavering faith and resilience. As a sister of the Daughters of Charity of Saint Magdalene of Canassa, Josephine Bakhita performed various roles over the years. She worked as a porter at the convent, a position that allowed her to welcome and interact with visitors and pilgrims. Her kindness, humility, and welcoming spirit quickly made her a beloved and respected figure among all who met her. Additionally, she devoted her time and effort to domestic tasks, caring for others with the same dedication and love she had experienced during her time with the Canossian Sisters. 3. Life in the convent. After making her perpetual vows in 1896, Josephine Bakhita was established in the Canossian community, becoming a constant and cherished presence, affectionately known as Sister Moretta due to her African origin and dark skin. In the convent, Bakhita was involved in a variety of tasks and services, always performing her responsibilities with exemplary dedication and a spirit of humility. Her daily routine included activities ranging from cooking to cleaning, and she was known for her tireless willingness to help with any necessary task. The humility and joy with which she carried out even the simplest tasks earned her the respect and admiration of all the sisters in the convent. One of the most notable roles Bakhita played was that of porter at the convent. This seemingly modest function was of great importance, as the porter was the first person to interact with visitors and pilgrims. Bakhita welcomed everyone with a warm smile and a kind word, offering a living testimony of Christian hospitality. Her presence at the convent door not only ensured a warm reception for all who arrived but also reflected her deep spirituality and ability to make each person feel valued and loved. She used to say that if she met her kidnappers and torturers, she would kiss their hands, for without her suffering, she would not have known Christ. This spirit of forgiveness and gratitude was a fundamental part of her holiness and the message she conveyed to all who knew her. At the end of her life, when her health began to decline, Bakhita remained serene and full of faith. Even amid pain and illness, she continued to express her total trust in God's will, often responding to questions about her well-being with the phrase, "as the Master desires," referring to God with deep respect and love. 2. Death. Josephine Bakhita passed away on February 8, 1947. Her death occurred at the convent of the Daughters of Charity of Saint Magdalene of Canassa in Schio, in the Veneto region of Italy. The exact cause of her death is not widely documented, but it is known that Bakhita faced health problems throughout her life, likely related to the years of mistreatment and abuse she suffered during her youth as a slave. She struggled with various illnesses and ailments throughout her life, including heart and respiratory issues. After her death, the body of Saint Josephine Bakhita was buried at the convent of the Daughters of Charity of Saint Magdalene of Canassa, where she had spent much of her religious life. Her tomb became a site of pilgrimage and veneration for many devotees, who visit to pay homage to her sanctity and seek her intercession. The legacy of Saint Josephine Bakhita continues to be celebrated and honored by the Catholic Church and by people around the world. Her story of transformation, forgiveness, and unconditional love inspires millions, and her example of holiness continues to be a source of hope and encouragement for those facing challenges and adversities. 1. Miracle and Canonization. The canonization process of Saint Josephine Bakhita was marked by an extraordinary miracle attributed to her divine intercession. This miracle involved a Brazilian woman named Eva da Costa, who suffered from incurable wounds on her legs due to diabetes. Eva da Costa faced an extremely debilitating medical condition, with wounds that would not heal, causing her great physical and emotional suffering. After exhausting all conventional treatment options and facing a grim prognosis, Eva decided to turn to faith for healing. With great devotion and faith, Eva da Costa prayed for the intercession of Josephine Bakhita, whose inspiring story she knew. She placed her trust in Bakhita's powerful intercession, imploring for a miracle to alleviate her suffering and restore her health. To the surprise of many, and as a testament to divine grace, Eva da Costa's wounds began to heal, and she experienced a significant improvement in her health condition. Doctors were perplexed by Eva's rapid and complete recovery, which could not be explained by natural means. This extraordinary event was recognized by the Catholic Church as a miracle attributed to the intercession of Saint Josephine Bakhita. The official recognition of the miracle played a crucial role in Bakhita's canonization process. On October 1, 2000, during the pontificate of Pope John Paul II, Josephine Bakhita was canonized as a saint of the Catholic Church. The canonization ceremony took place in St. Peter's Square at the Vatican, in front of a crowd of faithful who witnessed Bakhita's elevation to the altars. Since then, Saint Josephine Bakhita has been celebrated in the Catholic liturgy on February 8 each year. Her canonization not only recognized her personal sanctity but also highlighted her extraordinary life of faith, forgiveness, and love for others. Saint Josephine Bakhita is now venerated as the patron saint of those enslaved and those who suffer injustices, being a symbol of hope, redemption, and mercy for millions of people around the world. Her story continues to inspire those facing difficulties and adversities, reminding us of the transformative power of faith and God's love. And so we come to the end of another story of Curiosities. Don't forget to leave in the comments which saints' curiosities you would like to see here on the channel. And we'll see you in the next story.